Pena National Palace,
Palácio Nacional da Pena,
is a romanticist palace in
São Pedro de Penaferrim.
It is a national monument, and constitutes one of the major expressions of 19th century Romanticism in the world. The palace is the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and one of the 7 wonders of Portugal. It is also used for state occasions, by the President of the Portuguese Republic, and other government officials. Architecture. The Pena Palace has a profusion of styles, much in accordance with the exotic taste of the Romanticism. The intentional mixture of eclectic styles includes the Neo-Gothic, Neo-Manueline, Islamic, and Neo-Renaissance. References to other prominent Portuguese buildings, such as the Belém Tower, are also present. Almost the entire palace stands on rock. Structurally, it can be divided in 4 sections, the foundations and its enveloping walls, with 2 gateways, one of which is protected by a drawbridge. The restored structure of the old convent, and the clock tower. The arches yard in front of the chapel, with its wall of Moorish arches. The palatial zone and its cylindric bastion, with interiors decorated in the cathedral style. Pena National Palace. History. The palace's history started in the Middle Ages, when a chapel dedicated to Our Lady of Pena was built on the top of the hill, above Sintra. According to tradition, the construction occurred after an apparition of the Virgin Mary. In 1493, King John II, accompanied by his wife Queen Lena, made the pilgrimage to the site to fulfill a vow. His successor, King Manuel I, was also very fond of this sanctuary, and ordered the construction of a monastery, which was donated to the Order of St. Jerome. For centuries Pena was a small, quiet place for meditation, housing a maximum of 18 monks. In the 18th century, the monastery was severely damaged by lightning. However, it was the Great Lisbon earthquake of 1755, occurring shortly afterwards, that took the heaviest toll on the monastery, reducing it to ruins. Nonetheless, the chapel, and its magnificent works of marble and alabaster attributed to
Nicolau Chantrine,
escaped without significant damage. For many decades, the ruins remained untouched, but they still astonished young Prince Ferdinand. In 1838, as King Consort Ferdinand II, he decided to acquire the old monastery, all of the surrounding lands, the nearby castle of the Moors, and a few other estates in the area. King Ferdinand, then, set out to transform the remains of the monastery into a palace that would serve as a summer residence for the Portuguese royal family. The commission for the Romantic-style rebuilding was given to Lieutenant General and mining engineer, Baron William Ludwig von Eschwege. Eschwege, a German amateur architect, was much traveled, and likely had knowledge of several castles along the Rhine River. The construction took place between 1842 to 1854, although it was almost completed in 1847. King Ferdinand and Queen Maria II intervened decisively on matters of decoration and symbolism. Among others, the king suggested vault arches, medieval and Islamic elements be included, and he also designed an exquisitely ornate window for the main facade, inspired by the chapter house window of the convent of the Order of Christ in Toma. After the death of Ferdinand, the palace passed into the possession of his second wife, Elisa Hensler, Countess of Edler. The latter then sold the palace to King Louis, who wanted to retrieve it for the royal family, and thereafter, the palace was frequently used by the family. In 1889, it was purchased by the Portuguese state, and after the Republican Revolution of 1910, it was classified as a national monument and transformed into a museum. The last Queen of Portugal, Queen Amelia, spent her last night at the palace, before leaving the country in exile. The palace quickly drew visitors and became one of Portugal's most visited monuments. Over time, the colors of the red and yellow facades faded, and for many years the palace was visually identified as being entirely grey. By the end of the 20th century, the palace was repainted, and the original colors restored, much to the dismay of many Portuguese, who were not aware that the palace had once displayed such chromatic variety. In 1995, the palace and the rest of the cultural landscape of Sintra were classified as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO.
fue yung
We were there in December.
Não, o que é que vai pagar aqui? O que é que você quer? O que é que roubar? O que é que queres que
velas encendidas en casa de las iglesias, se caen las velas, incendios por toda la ciudad, 5 días ardiendo el mismo. 3 terremotos.